Welcome to Virtual Coffee with Dawn Rickabaugh, the Note Queen, where we talk about owner financing and notes. Financial solutions, one mom and pop to another.
Okay, welcome to Virtual Coffee, anything owner financing and notes. My name is Dawn Rickabaugh. I'm so happy to be your host. I'm so grateful that you would spend the time to be involved with the call this morning and submit questions and things. This really wouldn't happen without you. And if there's this is something that I love, I'm passionate about talking about, sharing, kind of like proselytizing almost, because I just want more people to feel comfortable and understand this space so that we can basically unplug from Washington and Wall Street and create more solutions, just one mom and pop to another, sort of like having a decentralized sort of way of obtaining liquidity instead of only there being one way, and that is to go to the banks, the larger institutions. So I like the decentralized idea. I'm not a fan of the central banks. I hope that we shut down the Fed and go back to an honest asset-based currency. That could be a little interesting of a transition, but that's what I'm voting for. But in the meantime, you know, if we learn to create deals between ourselves that balance, balance risk and reward between the parties, then everyone can feel confident about jumping in, and we can create liquidity and solutions amongst ourselves. Kind of why one of the reasons why cryptocurrencies, you know, got to be so popular is that people trying to find a way to have a decentralized financial system, right? So sort of similar in a way. I just sort of thought of that this week. Oh, what we do here is just decentralizing the financing and things, real estate, and using our retirement funds in a way that is outside of what we would normally consider. And so right here, I've got my website up because just want to bring your attention, just because I forget at the end of the call. So we're doing it now. If you haven't already, checked out, if you create a login right here, you can go to the dashboard, and for people that don't know what's here, this is where I've aggregated all of my content, the free content that people can access. Actually, I don't have any paid content at this point anymore, except for if you want to come to my event, that does cost some money because that's expensive to kind of put on. But so you got Virtual Coffee, all the places, some ebooks. I'm really behind in writing more books. But anyway, transaction review and calculator practice is super, super fantastic. If you just want to go, gosh, I get a little bit on these podcasts, but I just want to go deeper and I want to have more examples of how you're thinking about putting deals together and how you use the calculator to help figure that out. There's links to resources. People ask me, well, what books could I read, or how can I get better on the calculator, or who do you recommend for this, and this? So go ahead and check that out. There's some discounts to other people like Land Trust Guy and someone who does some great education about the calculator and other financial concepts. If you want to, the note appraisal course that I did years ago, still an excellent, valuable thing that I just used couple weeks ago for a friend of mine. You know, he says, I really need a note appraisal because we're trying to do a Roth conversion. So they needed to minimize the taxes. So they wanted to have an independent third party say, hey, what's the value of this note? So that obviously the tax liability is as small as possible. So that report came in super handy. So that is a super great thing, almost a mini course in notes all by itself. If you need to hook up for some consulting, I try to offer that mostly just to be of service, because sometimes people can't organize and aren't lucky enough to get, you know, their spot on the air right here. So if you need a little one-on-one, there's a link that you can easily go to hire me for just talk about your deal for an hour, right? And so that just reminds me to say, please forgive me if I can't always get to emails that people send me, if they're just in the regular course of my day and not in the context of this venue or a one-on-one session. There's I'm just a little mom and pop person, just trying to manage my own portfolio of things, which, at different times can be quite a bit. And then it's really cool. I mean, I hope you can come to our, put it on the calendar for this year, but the last 2 years of our Property and Paper Summit, the live 2-day events, all the videos are here for free, right? And so that is something that people have told me has been really helpful. They watch those over and over and over to try to get it. But just in case you can come, live events, here it's here. I do a meetup locally in Carson City, Nevada. So if you're within an hour drive, head on over. But so basically, this is it's become a 2.5-day conference. So I've already had people start signing up, and I haven't even sent an email about it. So go ahead if you're interested, try to nab your spot early. And we added a half day in front of it. So we're going to do a half day on Sunday before we just hit slamming on Monday and Tuesday. Because what we found out is that people who are brand new to the conversation tend to not get a little bit lost as we just blast through some of the concepts in the regular 2-day Monday, Tuesday. So we're going to have a beginners sort of 3-4 hours on that Sunday afternoon. So you can check in to South Lake Tahoe on Saturday night or Sunday, but probably be like 2 to 5, 2 to 6, something like that. Then we have, our fun times networking starts at big time with drinks and snacks, and it's really, really a good time. So it's technically the 6th through the 8th now, since we added that half day at the beginning. So go ahead and click on that if you are wanting to join us. So anyway, that's enough for now. Is there anything I forgot, Axel? Because if not, go ahead and just talk about the things that you talk about, the housekeeping rules and things. Yeah.
Okay, I'll add that real quick. So Dawn encourages everybody, join the conversation. So you can unmute yourself if you're joining us via computer. Bottom left corner of your screen, there's a little microphone icon. Whenever you want to jump in and have a comment, feel free to unmute yourself. If you're calling in from your phone, you can press *6, and that will also unmute you as well. For call quality, if you have a noisy background, just bear in mind we're trying to keep the call clean. So I'll occasionally I will mute you, but for the most part, everybody's super respectful and we love these calls. So anyways, that's all I have for now.
All right, thank you so much, Axel. So you said Adina was the first one that was here?
Yes, let's go
and
ahead.
that she's on the call. Can we bring her up and say hello?
Okay, there she is. Adina?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Welcome to the call. How are you?
Oh, thank you so very much. I am very well. I have to start by apologizing because I am driving. So please let me know if you hear any background noises, and Axel, feel free to mute me if
well, that's
the conversation
commitment.
doesn't go well.
Just make sure you're not compromising your safety. All right. So.
Oh no, I'm all set. I am using the Bluetooth, so I'm paying full attention at my driving. No worries.
Okay, that's great. So tell us just, right. I can read this, but it's more fun if you give us the nutshell
Sure.
of who you are and why you're on the call.
Okay, so first I want to say that I am actually a blockchain educator, and I am very enthusiastic of the opportunity for decentralization that blockchain technology is bringing to humanity.
How funny that you just talked about that. Yeah. How funny.
Yeah, and exactly what you described, the opportunity for us people to do business to business, directly business to business without any intermediaries.
Right.
And this is what is me driving to this space. It's perfectly good opportunity, for that type of business relationship. So,
fantastic.
having
You would have thought
yeah.
that we coordinated that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, as you were mentioning, you doing this as a service for people, and we are so grateful that you share your experience. I am doing this blockchain education and a few other things the same way, so I'm happy to talk more about that. Now, I am a newbie in the notes business.
Welcome.
Although I'm watching, thank you very much. I'm watching the space for a while, and the way I am thinking to start this is brokering deals. So I'm sending letters. I buy data, and I'm crafting, letters that people get.
Right.
Once in a blue moon, I am getting a call, and I send a particular example that actually is like on my table these days. So the general question I have, feedback and guidance from you. How do I actually start? Because after quite a few months, I didn't get any traction. Second,
Okay.
very practical.
Okay, so let me see. Thank you for that. Let me just summarize and make sure that I understand. You're new. You've been watching, kind of tire kicking, like I did in the beginning for years. You've got some education, formal education, or no?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So okay. So do you mind sharing? I don't care about advertising other people. If you think it's a positive thing to share. So, but anyway, a lot of people take a class, like Jeff Armstrong is a big educator in the space, and he teaches people how to do the direct mail and that, but probably others too, obviously.
Yeah, you said the right, so Don, you said the right name.
Okay, so yeah, Jeff's been around a long time, and he knows what he's doing, right? And I would say he's just one of the solid people in the industry that has been around since the days when I was kicking the tires, right? In the mid 90s or so. I mean, I hung around conferences and went to classes online, in person. I mean, oh my gosh. It wasn't until 2004 that I got serious about saying, hey, I'm gonna do or die, sink or swim, I'm going for it. It wasn't until 2004. So I would say a good 8 years, I was hanging around, watching, trying to get my head around it, trying to figure out how to start. And it all seemed so big and scary. But Jeff's been around a long time. So just saying, so then you learn how to get lists of people that have carried paper because they're listed as on the beneficiary of the deed of trust. It's not an institution. It's a private party. A lot of times the records will even say, hey, it was a seller carryback. Sometimes they just say it was a private party that's the beneficiary on the deed of trust. And from that, you can create lists. And so you've been sending out postcards and letters and things like that. And you've got a few people that have been interested, but you haven't closed the deal yet, and it's starting to get kind of frustrating, right?
So, well, yes, it looks to be, the way I am interpreting this is that I don't know enough, and I don't have a network of potential investors that I can reach out to.
Okay, don't you take your deals back to Jeff, because doesn't he do like brokers? He splits the broker fee with you, like he'll help you with the deals. Have you not been doing that?
Right. That's very true. At the same time, Jeff is at such a level in his expectations, and the deals that he's looking at are so focused on discount, right? That
right. So you're just saying
all the opportunities that came my way were rejected by the recipients because the discount was such that they did not you know?
Right. So, but you're saying the pricing you're getting back is you're not able to sell that to the seller, and so and that's pretty common. You know, like someone who doesn't really have motivation, just like anyone who's just in the real estate business. You're not going to get someone that will sell a house to you at a major discount unless they have motivation, right? You can't manufacture motivation for anyone selling anything at a discount, right? They either are motivated or they're not. And if they're not, they're probably not going to like the prices. But sometimes you can do, you know, the partials are a great creative way to go. There's many ways to create a partial. Usually the institutional buyers will throw you out just a typical one partial, next 4 years payments, next 7 years payments, whatever, something like that. But there's a lot of ways to actually customize something. If someone truly has a motivation, they need money, instead of that $500 a month coming in, they need 20 grand now, or whatever the note size is, right? So, and then there's a real art, and I wouldn't even say I'm the best at it. You know, I know people that are better at talking to note sellers than I am, but they've really got it down of how you sort of set realistic expectations for that note seller, and understanding why there's a discount, because someone won't get it. You know, they won't get, well, there's 100,000 due on this note. How come I can't get 100,000? Well, if the face rate on the note is 5%, 6%, but the investor needs 10, 12, 14%, then there's got to be a discount in how much is paid for that exact same thing. But people aren't usually prepared for that. So I would say, you know what? It's with anything that you're starting new, any new business, it's going to take you 2 to 5 years to really catch your stride and really be in it.
Right.
So I wouldn't get too discouraged, but if you really love it, then keep persisting and keep practicing your scripts and listening to how other people, sell deals and things like that. I've got a guy who's really phenomenal at lead generation and talking to sellers and setting up expectations. And he brings me quite a few things, and we close quite a few that even the larger institutions turn down, right? So, or sometimes we even beat the institutional offers because maybe it's a property I know I really, really want, or, location I really want, type of property. So sometimes I can way outperform what the institutions will do, but not usually, but occasionally. So what I would do is continue to market and just get better at that. And then, send your deals to Jeff. And then and I've said this many times, that, brokering is fine, wholesaling is fine. Like wholesaling real estate, some people make, I don't know, 20, 50,000 a month wholesaling real estate, but they're just like lead generation machines, right? And people can make a lot of money brokering notes, but it's always better if you think of first, and I'm not trying to discourage that, because I sometimes sell a note out up front just for the upfront money. But usually where my successes come, if I sooner than later, think like an investor and ask yourself, let's say this note, you said there's a note in Arizona, can I just switch to this and we'll give it some teeth, right? Okay, if this note, the house sold in Arizona for $40,000 with $10,000 down, right? And I'm gonna just put this up on the screen. Can people see that, Axel?
Yeah,
40,000 sales. Can you see that all right, or is it too small?
Yeah. We can see it.
Okay.
So Dawn.
Yeah.
So as you continue your comments and feedback, and thank you so very much, I would also be interested to hear your thoughts, because as I am, finding all of people experience in this business, or some of them, I hear some people are focused on unperforming notes. some people are focused only on performing notes. So see, there are different focuses. So if you would, say a few words about that, that would be very useful.
Okay, I'll comment on that. But first, I'm just going to finish this thought, okay? Because I want to get the most out of what we just started, right? So I was going to say, if you just want to broker and wholesale notes, basically, like anything you can do with property, you can do with paper. It is, there's a lot of moving pieces, but once you will learn the basics, most people think that it's so hard, but it's not really. If you hang around the conversation long enough, you start to realize how sort of obvious a lot of it is, but there was something that Brad said that made me laugh right out loud. He's, the guy that's, I think, in Australia, so I'm sure he's not on this call, but one of his main questions at the bottom was, why isn't everyone doing this? Why isn't everyone in this space? So that's a really good question, because what? People don't know about it. They don't feel comfortable with it. They're not educated. And why would the banks try to educate you about doing business without them? They wouldn't, because they get paid making the loans. Or why sometimes financial planners or your stock market brokers, why are they going to tell you you can do this instead? They're not, because they can't make money doing it. Just like, I don't know, doctors a lot of times don't tell you much about basic nutrition and lifestyle choices because they make money treating sick people. It's just, this is a space where you really have to kind of do it yourself. There's not a ton of even attorneys that are, your average attorney isn't usually fully versed in this space. They might know how to put owner carry deals together, because that's not hard. It's the same paperwork, just the beneficiary is a private person, but they usually know nothing about the secondary market for notes. So it's like all the good things, you usually have to be willing to dig for the truth, dig for the options, and where you can get ahead of it. But I'm just going to go through, here's this note that you said that you have. If this guy doesn't have any motivation, you can't manufacture that. But if he needs money for some reason, then usually you can figure out something. So let's just put this in. So $40,000 property in Arizona is pretty low-end housing somewhere. What's the collateral?
So this is when you say collateral, what comes to my mind is the house.
The security for the note is the property that serves as collateral or security for the payment. So that if the payment doesn't happen, you're going to foreclose on them.
Yeah, it's the property itself.
Yeah. What is it?
So it's a house.
Okay, so it's like a single family residence, and is an owner occupant living in there?
So the owner of the note sold a single family house to a buyer. The buyer is using the property as a renting property.
Okay.
And the owner of the note,
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
And has a few houses in Arizona. And now because he did the seller finance with the buyer, and because he's getting older, he is thinking to get out of Arizona. So this is like one first property that he has the note for, and he just wants to cash out.
Okay, so and how long ago did he originate this note? How much seasoning do we have?
It says not more than a year. I believe
it's kind of
it said nine payments were made, and so this looks like a performing note. And this note owner told me that he's not in any rush unless he gets cash. So he will not be interested in splitting the note, doing the partials, all that variations that we can do.
Okay, so he doesn't sound really motivated to me, but we're going to go through this.
Correct.
You know, we're going to go through this just as an example. So let's just recreate this in our calculator here. 40,000 sales price, low end property. This, if he's in the business of doing this, I would guess that he's like in the business of, let's say, buying HUD houses on auction, and he may or may not rehab them, or he might just wholesale them to an end buyer with seller financing, right? So this is kind of like, if someone's in the business, this is different. To me, this is different paper than just a mom and pop person. I treat it a little differently than the mom and pop person that, you know, they have one or two deals in their whole. And Adina, will you just mute yourself, because there's a lot of background noise, and I'm just going to talk, and then we'll bring you back on.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's just mute that so the line's clear. But so anyway, I treat the rehabber paper as different than the regular, just somebody carried paper on one or two properties or something like that they owned, or they inherited a note or something like that. This is someone who's in the business of churning paper, and I'm sure he's doing really, really well. So what happens is, if I was just going to guess, based on my experience and the different people, I would guess this guy maybe bought it for $10,000 cash from HUD store or something, may or may not have put any money into it, and then he just marked it up, because you can charge a premium for by offering owner financing. It's the best it's the best amenity that you can offer to increase the price on your home, is being willing to offer the financing, because you're filling a spot that is a big need for a lot of people. So my guess is he might be in at 10, 15 grand. He added, he doubled his money or quadrupled it maybe. And he says, I'm going to sell it for $40,000 down, take $40,000. I'm going to take 10 down. So most of his money is probably already out of it, or a good chunk of it, I would guess. So his returns are phenomenal. Let's just look at that. So if he makes this note, $30,000, right? And it's a 10,000 down is good, because that is what, 25% of the purchase price. So that's great, right? And so 30, and then we said a 6% interest rate. We're going to stick that in I/YR, interest yield area. It's fully amortized over 10 years. So that's 120 months. So I'm going to put that over here in N. Since it's fully amortized, there's no future value. There's no balloon, right? At amortir, by the time, if it's fully amortized, amortir is to kill. So the principal balance of the note is extinguished, is killed, by the time of the maturity date. Maturity date is the drop dead date that everything needs to be paid back. So now I want to solve for the payment, right? So the payment is $333.06. That's almost exactly what you wrote on your paper. So I'm just going to go with this for an example. So now this guy, let's say he has 15,000 into it. This is how powerful this owner financing, if you want to be in the business of churning out the paper, hopefully two things are true. If you're in this business, you're actually doing a little rehab when necessary for the basic structure and function, basic heat, electricity, roof. It's nice, because then if they default, then I've had the pleasure of foreclosing on something that was in really terrible condition because no rehab was done, or less was done than was represented in the beginning. So I end up, barely breaking even on some of these things after I've busted my brains on them for a year, right? So that's frustrating when the values aren't there, or when you inherit a property that is in really terrible condition. So unless you bought it at such a steep discount that you already factored that in, right? So anyway, let's just say this guy, look at his operation. If he's picking up a property I'm going to just pretend he's got 15 grand into this, but he already immediately got 10,000 back from the down payment. So now he only has $5,000 left of his own money left tied up in this property. You follow me there? So now let me see calculate what his return is. Oh my word, he's got a 80% ROI, return on investment, yield on this deal. So can you see how he's doing great? And unless he's really motivated, I can see why is he wanting to discount out of this? What a great thing he's got going there, right? He's making bank on that. So what I'm saying is just go, I like to know what they paid for the property and how much they put in it and actually prove them, because that's actually the cash value of the house. So let's say I was super conservative and I only, basically, first I go, what's my max ITV, the maximum amount of money that I want, that I will risk against this collateral. And this type of collateral, and it's rather new, you said less than a year seasoning. Down payment's great, and the fact that it's not owner occupied means this is an investor who probably put a good chunk down. They're probably not going to walk away from it. They probably know what they're doing. The rent payments from the tenant are paying the mortgage, so you've got the tenant paying the mortgage, and then you've got this guy who doesn't want to waste, $10,000, who's likely, a reasonable landlord type. So anyway, I still would not want to be exposed more than 50 cents on this. So before I calculate what yield would I take, I go, okay, 40,000 times 50%. The most I want exposed against this is $20,000. So that's going in my PV, my present value or loan amount right there. In this case, present value and so we know that there's 120 payments. Already 9 have been paid, so we have 111 payments left to receive. 111 of these payments are left. I don't want to be exposed more than 50 cents on this collateral. I would guess 20,000 is more than his acquisition and rehab combined. That's just my guess based on what I think this model is. So if I paid 20 grand, and if he would take 20,000 for his probably 30,000, what would that be? Like 65 cents on the dollar, right? You'd be taking a 35% haircut on that. If he said yes, then my yield would be close to 15%, which would be, I would consider this, a fair return, subject to due diligence, right? Subject to interior, exterior, BPO, broker price opinion or appraisal, because everything hinges on if something goes sideways, what's the actual cash value of that collateral, the house, right? That's what you're going to get if the loan stops performing, right? So I'm just running that. That's a number I'd be willing to do. And partials, this is already a small note, but theoretically, if someone says, oh my gosh, I really can't afford to lose the rest of this note. I need it for my income, but if I don't have $5,000 right now, I can't pay for my knee surgery or something like that. I've had that happen where, like, just to help somebody out, I bought a front-end partial for $5,000, right? And I can use some of my the little self-directed accounts between myself and my young adult children. I have a few accounts that I'm working that are small dollar IRA type things that are happy to do some of these smaller deals, right? But anyway, so that's my comment on that one. I hope that helps. Like I said, this guy doesn't sound to me like he's motivated, and the complexity of a partial doesn't make sense. I'm sure he's not like that strapped for cash. But just, you have to remember on these asset classes, the actual cash value is usually much, much, much less than the owner finance value. So anyway, that's probably what I would offer is a 20,000 with splitting fees. If he wants to say, what am I going to net for sure, I would probably say 19,000. So if I'm and then I'll pay all the closing costs, 19,000 divided by what I wonder what the actual balance is. I have to recreate the note to go, what's the actual balance? 30, I have to recreate the whole note to figure that out. And I do this all the time, back and forth and back. This is just like how I do. And so after what do we say, 9 payments, there's 111 to go. So then the balance is 28,319. So if I said you're going to net 19,000 after closing costs and all that I'm going to pay for, divided by your 28,319, then the way I would present this offer is that I'll give you 67% of UPB, unpaid principal balance, and that's what my offer would be. And so anyway, that's enough on that. And then let's go ahead and unmute yourself, Dina or Axel. And just on the non-performing, it's a completely different asset class in a way, because it's very labor intensive, very capital intensive, and to me, it's like you have a job when you're working out non-performing notes. That's a full-time job. Whereas the owner carry paper, the performing stuff can be ideally, and isn't always, but it can be, truly passive income. And so there's people that, there's one guy that's going to be at our conference. That's an East Coast guy. I'm super happy to have him. Mike Rasik is going to be coming out this October to South Lake Tahoe, California, and talking about non-performers and even non-performing seconds, behind performing first. And so that's a whole level of world that I don't deal in. If I buy a non-performing note, first or second, it's a mom and pop originated deal. Right. So it's totally different type of thing. Like, imagine going in the grocery store and you've got your cart. Now, if you've got a lot of money behind you, several millions, at least 5, and above, I would say you can start to get some decent pricing, but it's all about relationships at that point. You got to have the relationships with the people who take down the product in large quantities. So, but once you have those relationships and the capital, and you have the team to manage heavy, intensive time and energy management for these non-performers. But if you get that together, you can take your shopping cart, stop at the first shelf, and just take your arm like this, and you can just scoop it all into your cart, and right away you got a whole bunch of notes, because you just bought, let's say, 100 notes, from one hedge fund or bank or something like that, if you have a small bank that you could buy from. On the other hand, owner carry is more intensive on finding it, right? So you can buy them all in a tranche and you just get them in your cart, and then you work really, really hard to work those things out, right? And it takes a long time sometimes to get your money back out of it. With owner carry, mom and pop stuff, for us in this business, the hard part's not the working out or managing the portfolio, it's finding the deals. So it's like you're doing direct marketing, direct mail. Other people would spend a lot of time and money on their SEO, their website, the search engine optimization, and they're very good at bringing online. But in our business, you go down every single, and you might find one note on this aisle, and 2 aisles over, you might find another note. So the hard part is getting them into the cart, not working them out. But, right? So I know we spent a long time on this, and I just want to punctuate one more thing before we move on. And thank you so much for bringing these topics. There's a lot of juicy stuff in here. But really, the sooner you will think like an investor, how could I buy this note? And the most powerful thing, the sooner you'll make money, and you'll be a better wholesaler if you think like an investor already. And so let's just take a pretend really fast. Here we've got this $30,000 note. I'm going to recreate it in here in my calculator. We said there's 111 payments left. So basically, there's 28,000. And Adina, you could pay this guy if you felt comfortable risking 28,000 against the $40,000 asset that probably the true cash value is quite a bit less than that. But let's just pretend you were okay from a risk underwriting standpoint, that you could say, I'm okay paying, giving him par, meaning I'm going to pay him the exact 100% of UPB less, making him maybe cover the closing costs, right? So you'll say, I'll give you what you're owed, and he can go, great. But that means you're accepting a 6% yield, and in the real world, you're going, no, but I don't know anyone that will take a 6% yield, right? Even the institutional investors, or at least for this asset class, are probably going to be at 9, 10 and above on this for sure. Even if the credit is good, if the credit's bad, forget it. You're not going to have an institutional buyer. Right? Credit matters to the, for getting the institutional buyers to buy it. But Adina, you could make money on this if you develop your own capital partners. If you will take the time to build up your own financial friends, but you're not going to build them, you're not going to talk them down from, oh, I want 10 or 12 or 15 down to 6. What you need to do is develop the people, educate them enough that they're making 0 or 1 or 2% on their money. And if you can get them comfortable with this asset class, and let's say you say, look, I can get you 5%. Let's just say, if you just, and that's usually 5 times more than they're making on their deposits, right? And the other things. If you can get them to take 5%, and they put in the whole purchase price for the note, how much of the payment would they need for their 5%?
Right.
It's not much, but you can say that, oh, good, I created $14 of passive income, right? So, I'm just saying,
I totally follow.
No matter what the yields are, if you can find investing partners that will take less than the going rate out there, it doesn't matter. You can make money if you can find someone at 4%, with no money out of your pocket except the fact that you've worked to become who you are and to get a few deals. Okay, now you've got $25 passive income, and this is a teaming out, right? So that's the idea that actually thinking like an investor. How can I take this down? And building up your own private partners is the most powerful way to create passive income out of thin air on this stuff. So anyway, thank you so much. Once again, we're going to move on to the next person, since I can't believe how fast time goes, when you're having fun.
Thank you, Don. That's very useful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And you have a great day, Adina.
Thank you.
Okay, Axel, any comments, questions that have come in, or
sure.
Anyone else that's here?
Yeah, well, Chris Weeks, he wants to buy a single note from a mortgage company. The note is delinquent 6 years. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, okay, it's institutional paper. Who's the servicer and or lender on that? The beneficiary.
Chris,
can we get him live?
Yeah, I'm here, Dawn. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi. Who's the lender, or at least who's the servicer? Who appears to be the lender?
God, I'm trying to remember now. My wife might know. If you want to hold 30 seconds, I can go ask her.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
The point I'm making, if it's one of the bigger banks, the thing is they just don't sell off onesie twosie. Even if you're dealing with the short sale
department, not Bank of America or anything like that. And we've been trying to do a short sale for 6 years now with them, but they don't ever send us the package. And I think
if they're a smaller regional bank or something like that,
it's smaller, yes.
Okay, so then you might have a shot at it, but typically it's really like it's just really like pulling teeth. You would think it's obvious. Why can't the short sale department, if they can process a short sale on the asset, why can't they just sell the note at a discount? To me, it seems like so brain dead, but that's not apparently how it operates. A lot of times these notes are tied up in pools, and depending on the numbers that the bank is looking, sometimes they can't afford to realize a loss on their books for that month based on whatever their guidelines are. And a lot of times, like I said, they're sort of locked up in pools that are already been sold to.
Yeah, this one's been sold twice, I think.
Right. So it's really, really, really hard to buy a one-off note from an institution. The chances are better, I understand, if it's small, but I have yet to try to. Well, that's not true. In the early days when I was getting my brain damage as a real estate agent and doing short sales, I did try. That's why the gray hairs.
Yeah, I did the same thing for years. I did it as an investor too, and it was
right. And I tried to get to buy the note, but that ended up being the only time it was successful. I think it happened once, was where it was Bank of America that had agreed to sell the borrower, take a short payoff only to the borrower. They wouldn't let a third party be involved, but they would say, hey, just to avoid foreclosure and to help, we're having a lot of PR issues, right? Because we're foreclosing on everybody. We'll let you have this note, but you have to take title to it, right? Gotcha. So I think that's the only time when they were offering, hey, we'll let you have this, buy your own note, basically take a short payoff on your note if you get us this such amount of cash, but title can't change. So that's all I have on that. Is super tough to get that to happen.
I figured that. I hadn't looked at it in years, so I thought you might have some new insight on it. And it's a pretty big discount because the note's for like $120 and it's probably only worth about $45 now. So,
yeah. So, it's just, and there again, I am not in that industry day in and day out, so I wouldn't say that I'm the best definitive answer, but, I'm always like, just when I was at this women conference last weekend, the gals that are in it, I said, hey, what's the word on the street? And, and how's it going? And basically, you still have to buy in big tranches to get the pricing, but even now the pricing is insane. I mean, they're saying we have to change our strategy. We've kind of pulled back from what we're buying right now, slowed down and changed. We need to source them differently or better or more directly, because it says we refuse to buy a non-performing tape for 75 cents. That's crazy. I mean, I don't even buy a performing note at 75 cents.
No.
So the price. So what we need to know is that capital is scared. I would say capital is, there's so much money trying to get a position in something that seems to have real asset value, like real tangible asset.
Right.
So people are overpaying for notes, in my opinion, lots of times. They're overpaying for property.
It's going to come in handy again when it crashes again.
Yes. So you're going to need the people that are positioned well and have, when things adjust, and a lot of people are saying, wouldn't be surprised in the next 18 months, right?
Yeah.
Any day, decide that. So when things, because the banks are apparently taking on a lot of, they're not disclosing. It's sort of like a hidden shadow inventory that's building up not only on REOs, foreclosed properties, but also on their non-performing paper. So once that all gets dumped on the market and things get shaken up, we'll have two things at once: a bunch of property and paper product, assets for sale, and no liquidity. Nobody can get a loan. So it's the people who can put private capital together, have cash set aside, that will be able to come in and buy those assets. Now, it doesn't make me scared to keep doing my business, but I'm always with a mind to, that's why you have to buy at a discount. What if this $40,000 property, it really is worth $40,000? Maybe it's worth $50,000, but I have to go, will I still be happy if the property loses 30% of its value?
Right.
Would I still do this deal? So I have more than one exit strategy usually. So it's really interesting times. But when you have someone, an individual mom and pop on the other side of your deal, who's the borrower, seller, lender, or whatever, no matter what happens, usually you can work things out. People are usually reasonable. If there's some extreme situation, usually people can work things out together. If you're trying to deal with a huge institution with people, they pay $10 an hour to manage the files, you're gonna keep getting a lot of brain damage trying to push those things through. That's why, even though it's more time intensive to get the leads, it's just my preferred way to do business is the mom and pop stuff. And yes, I do agree that there's value in institutional financing. It's just that my bias, because I can now say I can just prove that I never asked a bank for money, right?
Well, you hit it when you said you can't create urgency
right.
With people, and dealing with people that have urgency is way easier to run a business. At least I find that you can make better deals with people that need cash.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like if the buyers are hungrier than the sellers, then the prices are up, right? But
right.
If the sellers are hungrier, and when they're really hungry, then usually I can find at least some customized way, to put some sort of deal together. They might not get everything they want, like the little deal we're doing in Texas right now. And what was I saying? Okay, so here was the deal. Real quick, I'm just going to bring it up. I know we're coming up near the end of the call, but so here's the deal. What was it? They sold the this is in Texas, not too far out of the, I want to say the Houston Metroplex area. So, nice suburb, high density, demand for housing, things like that. And I want to say the note itself was $105,000. They might have put they didn't put very much down, like 3-4 years ago. So they might have put 5 or 10 down. The note was for 105. I want to say the interest rate was 5. They probably amortized over a full 30 years. So basically, the full, and these people are running usually a couple months behind. So they're not too bad, but it's not a perfectly performing asset. I think they might have even been a little bit behind on their property taxes. So I've got an issue with, and then the property value when we sent someone by to look inside and out. You know what? There's going to be. I don't really think it's worth 105 in this particular situation. I think it needs a new roof. I think new windows, some bigger things. So really, I'm looking at. I'm looking at, okay, I think maybe the property cash value as is right now is $75,000. And then if I want to be, then I'm going to take my, 65% as my maximum ITV to that. And the most I could possibly risk against this is 48. And I can't remember how many payments are left.
What would you offer them if the most you're going to pay is 48? What do you normally offer? If you want to do the deal.
Okay, well, at first, yeah. Well, so in this case, I go, okay, what's the most I would risk? Just from an underwriting risk. So the most is going to be 65 cents on what I think the actual as is cash value is.
Right.
Right? So, and then I go, well, that's actually not, I need to create some room in there, right? I'd pay a little less than this. But then those people this note seller has some pressing need for now, but they don't really want to take such a whack. Probably that's 50 cents on the remaining balance or something, which, that's not true. What is it? Yeah, I want to say this is less than 50 cents on the UPV, on the balance that's left on the note. So that's pretty steep for people to swallow when, if they could get 20 grand now, 25 grand now, then they're fine. So basically, if I go, okay, to get you 25 grand, I'll just, what did we do? I think, because so that's what keeps me safe, right? Now I'm at even if it's only worth 75,000, now I'm
35.
33% investment to value on this, right? And so then I go, yeah, but I need, I don't know, I actually can't remember, but here's an example of, I'll reverse engineer it. I think we bought 15 years of the note, because the longer the notes payments stretch out, the more discount there is for present value. Yeah, I think it might actually be something like this, where, and little bit trouble paying, a little bit late on property taxes, different things like that. So I like this, low risk, high yield, and it solves their problem, because then they still keep, when they get the note back, I think they still have, 60, 70,000 of principal balance. So they get the money.
So you only bought,
pardon?
You only bought 25 years worth. You left them the last Is that what it is?
180 payments is 15 years. So
15. Okay. So
yeah, so 242 left minus 180 that I buy. So that leaves them 62 payments times 563. That leaves them at the end still with 35,000 to collect,
Plus
right?
The 25 you gave them.
Right. So I don't think this is exactly right, but it's close enough. It's the idea where I didn't think our yield was that high, so I might have done something wrong here. But
do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Let's say they didn't catch up on the payments, and you had to do you foreclose on them?
Well, I never hope to foreclose on someone, but I know that
But if you had to,
if I had to, yes, because there's compassion for my investors. Pardon?
What do you owe the original note buyer?
Okay, great question. So I think the what did I say the original? Did I say it was 5%?
Yes.
So then I put the 5% in here, and okay, so it's not exactly right. The way the Exhibit B ran, it was 61,000. So I must be remembering the face rate of the note wrong. But anyway, so basically, if it paid off tomorrow, I would be able to collect like $60,000, and they get whatever's left over. It might be another 40,000 note balance that's left, right?
Well,
so
that's if you sold it for. I mean, if you had to foreclose and then had to sell the property to get all the cash back, you could only sell it for maybe 75,000 at the most, because that's all it's worth right now. Is that right?
Right. So you have to remember there's the thing, I don't think that they're going to be selling. If they sell, that they're going to sell retail on purpose so that the borrowers can keep their equity.
No, I mean, if you had to foreclose on them, take the property.
Right. So if I did, then I wouldn't be able to get this back. Right. So what if I only got 50,000 back, and let's say they defaulted the day after we buy it, right?
Right.
And I got no payments. Say they quit first payment default from me coming in the deal. I just put in 25,000, and in 12 months, let's say I get 50,000 back, right? But we'll just pretend that I know there's a lot of things. Well, what about, forced place insurance and property taxes and legal fees? We're not talking about that. You can say that, so, okay, I didn't get back all the money that was due according to my amortization, but I did okay, right? I doubled my money in a year.
Right.
Right. So it's about just customizing things that work. And I see that does that help at all, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
My main question was about buying from a regular bank. I hadn't done that before myself, so I didn't know if you had a. Yeah,
that's really tough. And thank you for bringing that up and being on the call. I appreciate your time spent here. And
I tried to catch your last one, but I missed you, so I wanted to jump on this one.
Oh, well, thank you so much for what part of the country are you from?
I'm in Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. And we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I really appreciate you. And I want to remind you to use your powers for good and go out there and create financial solutions, just one mom and pop to another. We'll catch you next month, sometime that Axel knows that I've forgotten. All right. You guys all take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Virtual Coffee with Dawn Rickabaugh. For more, please visit notequeen.com.